Welcome, Harkunwar, to my podcast. I'm considering myself really privileged, to host you, and thank you so much for taking your time to be with me today. Uh, Harkunwar, I wanted to ask you my first question. Uh, what has been your journey, which led you to start up Novatr, which is a successful upskilling platform for upcoming designers and architects in the Indian ecosystem?
All right. Firstly, Asim, thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to come here and share the journey and stories and ideas with you and your audience. So, picking up on like how we started and what all went into bringing the idea of Novator together. So it was pretty organic. So we actually were studying architecture. So and my co-founders Vipanchi, Chaitanya, they were also studying in the same college, same batch, and three of us had our own probably individual excitement towards doing something on our own. Vipanchi used to be involved in, like setting up her own brand where she would be selling, manufacturing, designing also the leather bags, and she would be like doing all that part of it. Chaitanya used to actually run a bakery. I
Okay.
was a distant viewer of that entire thing while I saw him doing that, and um, I by chance actually. So for me specifically, when I look back, I see how the dots connect. But I was actually supposed to be in Spain for my internship, and
Okay.
like my father is an architect, and seeing that when I was pursuing architecture, it was very clear that I would be an architect and take my probably father's practice forward, and that was the entire agenda. And getting into one of the really good architecture practices globally was really exciting, and I was just waiting to get there. However, like my visa never happened, and
Okay.
what really happened was like when that entire effort gone into getting that visa so that I can intern in Spain for those 6 odd months didn't go through. After a lot of circles, I actually landed at a tech startup, and it was like a bunch of also young entrepreneurs trying to do something. I knew one of them, and I was in touch with him, and he said like, why don't you come and be a part of this? We are just starting up. We work out of a house over here. It was in Kalkaji, and that's when I landed there, and I was exposed to what building a software is all about. And if you actually create value or build something which people truly want, it can like scale to a lot of people in next to no time. And that was my journey of understanding uh, this entire space. Working over there, I probably did everything, and what probably like from being someone who does sales, from someone who does graphic design, from someone who does probably all the office boy jobs. All of those were part of my journey, and just being there was a lot of learning. I continued being a part of that for almost 2 years while I graduated, and after that, while all of this was coming together, one of the key things that always bugged me, Vipanchi, on the side was that, like, when we used to discuss, both me and Vipanchi, probably like just to like connect another part of it. Me and Vipanchi happened to do a lot of group projects together in an architecture school. Architecture school is full of group works. We probably did close to 30 group projects in 5 years. And while we did that, we were almost sure like we'll be starting up something together. Probably a traditional business, probably an architecture practice, don't know what, but something we will be doing together. And on the similar lines, we started, discussing, and we would oftenly question um, that why is that when we look at our senior batches from college, the ones who have probably graduated 3 years, 2 years before us, they're still figuring their careers out. They still have no grip onto what they actually want to do. And if we look at our immediate batch, like the batch I graduated with, probably 80 or 90% of our batch was totally clueless. Like, what should we do in our life? Because the jobs
After
that are
getting trained to be an architect, you're still figuring it out that okay, you're not ready for.
also the interesting
Okay,
part is like getting trained from one of the best architecture schools in the country, which comes
exactly. Yeah.
with a 75-year legacy. And this is 2018, and you just see like, why is it so? What is it to do with? And when I connect with my school hostel days, three of my roommates who all went to IITs, probably did computer science, and like started pursuing a career. They are being paid a bomb, and they are like, like crisp clear what they want to do in their life.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this space is mostly linked to two parts. What we were able to figure out that um, people want visibility in their careers, which is on these two fronts. What makes an intellectually rewarding career for me? The work I would enjoy, the work that would be satisfying, what I would be doing. Like, nobody wants to be in architecture office and making those CAD drawings or drafting day in, day out with just like a very mechanical work. And everyone, we are trained for 5 years to design buildings, and suddenly
Right.
for years you are asked to make drafting drawings in an office. And the
Hmm.
second part is, what gives me a financially rewarding career? Like, if I get into this space, I know I'll be able to make good for myself, my family, and I'll be set on a track that I will be making a good income. Now,
Right.
after doing architecture, actually both these parts are vague. There is no visibility of what will make an intellectually rewarding career and what will make a financially rewarding career as well.
Right.
And that was a question that sort of bothered us, that how can this be like that when you see other industries, they are like pretty thriving, probably, or probably grass is greener on the other side. But it started for us by following our genuine curiosity that this is something that needs some sort of attention or thought. On the other side, we were planning to do something else. And what used to happen was, me and Vipanchi used to make pretty decent or probably good architecture models in college. And a lot of colleges used to reach out to us asking for, doing workshops in their particular institute for a
Right.
batch of 100, for a batch of 150, a batch of 50. And they would ask us to do that 3-day workshop over there. And we simply said, why can't we host it and let anyone and everyone who's actually interested come and join it and be a part of it?
Right.
and
Right.
and, and that's how, over a dining table conversation, the idea of Novatr came together, and we started ideating. We bought a domain, we started an Instagram handle. Actually, the name for Novatr previously was 1 is to X, so 1 is to X was what was being worked on at that time. And we
Right.
pushed things out. We pushed a structure of a workshop, which was a 5-day long workshop taught over a summer of 2019. And we saw like registration started pouring in next to no time. As soon as we pushed it out, made some awareness around it, and people started enrolling it. And when we went out to teach a bunch of like 150 students, we realized that this problem is actually pretty massive. It's not limited to my college, it extends to all architecture colleges in the country. Not just that, probably extends to civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and the entire space of what we are talking about, right? People having a good conviction about their careers in terms of what they would be doing and how much money would they be making. That probably exists for only computer science engineers, and lest all fields are struggling.
Right.
And while the thought process came together, we taught close to 1,000 students in next 7 months offline. We would hop city to city, sometime in Delhi, sometime in Bangalore, sometime in Pune, and we would have students flying in actually from neighboring countries also, from Middle East, from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka,
Okay.
Nepal,
Okay.
all these regions. And this was happening, and then suddenly COVID happened in 2020. uh, while that happened, I think that was the first time within like 2 months of COVID happening, I learned about what edtech is. Like, the word
Okay.
first came to my knowledge and understanding. There is something called education technology startups.
Right. Right.
And they build to create things, and this is what they do. And we started like reading about it. We had our own set of challenges to understand the market, but the simple thought process that evolved was, Probably this gives the opportunity to make a global product that can be used by anyone and everyone and doesn't limit us to a specific region or geography. And that is what the advantage of building an edtech company is about. And with all the hype happening in the market out there, with all other edtechs raising millions of dollars, we were just like, okay, this is like picking up, and we need to be fast if we want to be part of this wave of edtechs exploding everywhere. And we tried a lot of things. We launched our first version of something somewhere around August 2020. It failed miserably. Nobody actually enrolled in any of our short format workshops. We tried to put in some recorded content. Nobody bought into that also. And we had our own like series of probably close to 5 launches, failed at probably all 5 of them. And there came a time we sort of started questioning, probably this won't work. And shouldn't be doing this maybe, and probably we are not fit for this. And that one morning when I woke up, we saw we have these team of 7 8 people who have to be paid salaries, and we don't have any money in the bank. How are we going to do it? That one week was pretty probably 10 odd days were pretty stressful, and we decided to just shut everything and take a break, evaluate, and see what we want to do. And
Right.
probably in like January of 21, we got back together, 3 4 of us. Like it was obviously me, Vipanchi, Chaitanya at that time, and we said, this is what probably we want to build. We need a tech co-founder who would be building this tech company with us. We'll find her, whosoever this person is going to be. We will also probably raise some capital, because we have been like just struggling to make the ends meet last 6 7 months, and it really kills you. And probably lastly, this is the product which the direction we should be taking from all the learnings we have had from the previous launches.
Right.
And this is the direction we should be taking, right? Like cohort based courses is the future. This is how they should be designed.
Right.
And the interesting insight over here, what I want to bring up is that why do people learn, right? Like if you see, there are always that top 2 or 3% people who are genuinely motivated to learn about something.
Right.
And the remaining set of users are there because they have been asked to be there, or probably
Of
they are
course.
like
Yeah.
concerned about their life in general, or there is some sort of external pressure that things won't be fine if you don't like build yourself like this.
Right.
And we recognize that this is a difficult space. Like human nature is very different, like how humans behave is very unique and different. So probably what's interesting to understand is, why did we go to college? And the only answer we got was, it wasn't about that particular studio, it wasn't about that particular professor. At times maybe, but not always, actually not most of the times. And it wasn't about anything else but probably the friends we had. It was probably about the crushes you had in your college, in your school. And that made you really excited to be up in the morning and probably show up, whatever the case is, whether early or late, but you would show up.
Right.
And probably the last part was attendance. And we were trying to just mix and match what could bring good engagement on the platform, because social learning is super crucial, and how that space comes together has to be thought about. So that was one part of it. The other insight was how every person is a unique learner. Each person learns things very uniquely. Some people are very visual in their thinking, some people connect dots in a very different manner.
Right.
And can we create some sort of pattern finding around that? There's a lot of research already done in the world out there on this. How do we get a lot of it already, what has been done, and build on top of it, leveraging technology to take it to the next level? How a customized space can be created for each learner for learning to take place?
Right. Right.
So these were the paths that bring were being thought about. And at the same time, I met Mehul. He had been working at one of the startups in Bangalore. Um, he got really excited about this entire space, what we can do, what all is possible. And he came on board to be a co-founder and CTO in the company. At that same time, we applied for Y Combinator 2 years back. We got through, and that was a big win. We got that sort of a we were in a space that marks that, yeah, we are onto something, and had this set of mentors who have been there, done that. And post that, suddenly a lot of momentum started generating. uh, Four of us got together, booked an Airbnb for 6 months, and moved into
Nice.
that Airbnb. We just wanted to build and probably figure out how the go to market is going to look like day in day
Right,
out.
right,
Didn't
right.
meet anyone for probably those 6 months. And yeah, post that, raised our first round of funding in December of 21. And since then, there has been an upward momentum in the entire, organization, company, and product. So that has been a broad level journey about where Novator is as of today.
Cool. Just to like analyze and look back at your journey, from multiple failures and pivots, to finally sort of like making it happen. Like, and everything you identified, how you identified the white space. How did the angle of tech came into the picture when Mehul was the element as a CTO who eventually also brought the tech element. One thing that you've touched upon was basically the challenges in the Indian education system for designers and architects, which Novator now is trying to address. Can you just give me a perspective on it? What is it? What is that white space in the Indian education system for architects and designers in particular? Because you have also been one. What is it that right now the education is missing, which Novator is trying to sort of uh, close?
So, so obviously, the interesting part is, as technology adoption picks up, it starts spreading to each part and everywhere.
Right,
What has happened is that as you saw technology being adopted rapidly across spaces, we started identifying that. So probably, like, I'll reframe this question, like, in a answer in a different manner.
right,
So there were these parts of it we were trying to make sense out of. See, there is a gut feeling that there's something wrong, but then how do you scientifically bring it together? So a lot of research, was put together to identify patterns. And while we were doing that, we came across this really interesting report, by one of the giants out there, like talking about relative digitization of industries. Okay, and it talks about that how construction and agriculture are two of the least digitized industries. While they
okay,
are the least digitized industries, they're actually the biggest industries in terms of employment and scale. Like the agriculture and hunting industry, if I specifically talk about India, employs close to 30% of the working population. And the construction industry employs north of 20% of the working population. And
okay.
these two industries like cater to like 50%, because we are a developing nation. And when we talk about roti kapda makan, they get covered in that. So uh, and the remaining 15 odd industries is the remaining 45-50% that's left over. So that's what talks about the sheer scale of these industries, and probably how the scale exists. Pattern finding is like that. The other interesting part is, why are people paid really well in a particular industry? That narrows down to how the industry is digitized. So there is a direct correlation between industry being digitized and how people are paid really well in the industry. So one of the most digitized industry is IT, information technology. People are
Right.
paid crazily in that industry. Post that comes
Definitely.
media. People are paid heavily in that media industry as well. So basically, what is a interesting part is, in these industries, IT, media, and all, your impact is not directly proportional to the number of man hours you are putting in. Probably with some effort, you can create massive impact if you are really good at it. On the other hand, in these industries where relative digitization is not that high, your output is equal to your input or the man hours that you have put together. And that's
Right.
why there is a disparity, and these industries haven't been able to pick up on the digitization aspect of it. Now, specifically, when we narrow down on the construction industry, the industry actually, had this entire revolution a few decades back with CAD coming together, computer aided design, and suddenly hand drafting was replaced by computer aided design. But
Right.
over the course of past few years, new technologies like BIM, building information modeling, where you create digital twins, or you create, you do the entire data management of, an entire project. So how that comes together, that really amplifies your impact in the industry, and that's what makes you be paid more. And we figured out that the actually lack in digitization, specifically in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, is actually linked with upskilling altogether.
Okay.
And not no no nobody's really like building for that, because everything is actually about computer science, data science, digital marketing, and MBA probably. And this aspect which builds the entire nation, like the highways that we see, the bridges that we see, the public infrastructure, the real estate, all of it is encompassed in this entire industry. And architects, civil engineers, structure engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers who work in this industry, they all need to be upskilled and brought together
Hmm.
to lead this entire movement in that industry of being tech ready, digitized, and uh, creating more in lesser time. The interesting another part or stat just to add to it is like how IT industry probably employs 0.5 or 0.6% of the population and contributes 8% to the GDP,
Wow.
whereas the AEC industry employs close to 21-22% of the population and contributes 12% to the GDP.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. This is really, really interesting just to sort of understand, put things in perspective. How even after a 5-year degree in architecture, you're still not work ready to join workforce and get the ground running from day one, and you need to be upskilled. And I have to congratulate you for just helping the Indian students, and of course globally as well, to sort of bring this bring your startup and the product to the world. Uh, One thing in particular which I wanted to sort of understand was, if you just just we take a step back and we understand the kind of upskilling startups who've succeeded in the Indian market. Scalar is considered to be one of the best examples given by many VCs. How they have been able to sort of train engineers and make them work ready for the Indian market, and they started with like really high cohorts and with 100% completion rate and placement rates. But as you sort of slowly grow, they have been able to maintain that quality, while a lot of other upskilling platforms such as Simply Learn or Coursera, the completion rates are very poor. Like, because inherently we are not motivated to sort of go, as you mentioned in your previous answer, that you're just not motivated enough because we are not here for the right reasons. How are you thinking about, say, completion rates and placements at Novatr?
Got it. So I would say completion rate is a derived metric. It really doesn't give you the true picture. Um, when I say derived metric, like there has to be a metric that truly measures the success of
Right.
a particular product. And whereas on our end we do measure the completion rates, and we have been having a relatively higher completion rates, uh,
Okay.
you know, while we have built this. But what we truly believe is that the opportunities and outcome is a true win for a upskilling edtech ecosystem or a edtech company. That
Right.
opportunities can mean probably jobs, it can mean like projects, freelancing projects, or it could mean some way your business is enhanced if you are running a business. Because what interesting part is to understand, if you look at the companies you mentioned or the space where they operate in, they are a very those industries are very organized and structured, whereas
Right.
construction is not that organized industry. It
Right.
works in a very chaotic manner. Like there are a lot of studio firms of 5 people, 10 people, 15 people consulting, and n number of them spread across the country, spread across globally. So the way this entire industry operates is very, very different. And for us, the real win is that what set of people are actually enrolling in our courses to actually get better jobs. And compared to the other companies, our number is pretty less. Like a lot of people are not doing the course just because they want a better job. They're doing it
Right.
because they're actually interested in upscaling and learning and probably be a better freelancer, probably be able to transition their own company or firm into these new technologies and adoption. And probably at times a lot of people do courses on our platform where they just want to learn and enhance their skill set. And that's why we need to build for a right set of people, a variety set of people, and that's how we pick and choose how the user is coming into the system.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's the real measurement is the outcome. How much are you able to close on that?
Right, right. This is really just to you touched upon the aspect that the quality of cohort matters a lot. Who are the people? Who are they coming from? And that's where Novatr has been able to do a wonderful job, and which has resulted in how basically the people who've done a course from you talk very highly about it. A lot of VCs talk highly about Novatr. Harkunwar, I wish you the luck for your journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Asim. Nice talking to you. Thank you. Bye.